Capuchin TV, kitambulisho Katoliki.
Brothers and sisters, and welcome to our program today. Last week we discussed the ethical principles that guides a human person, and today we want to discuss something a little bit political. I'm Reverend Father Dr. James Wangai Kafata, OFM Convention, and I'm Director of Consolata Institute of Philosophy. So something political today, because we have always been on ethics and other areas of philosophy. And the topic is about the socio-contract theorists, or the socio-contract theorists in political philosophy. You realize that in politics, there are always the theorists. They are always the people behind the scene who make the principles work the way they work. In every politician, there are some theorists. There are some philosophers behind the curtains, or there are some theories that the political class is trying to advance, and these theories are the one we want to discuss. One of the ancient theories of the 17th, 18th century that has really assisted in forming the governments we have today in the world. The theories in philosophy, they always bring what we call ideological makeups of the people. So people with a certain ideology, they are able to move together. They can create a movement, and then this can bring even into a revolution or changes in the society, depending on how the political class advances their theories, or how the political class advances their ideologies. Because when the ideology is deep inside the person, the people are able somehow to be guided by that ideology, and they act in a manner that ideology suggests. So what is a socio-contract? A socio-contract is an actual or hypothetical compact or agreement that comes between the ruling class and the ruled people. You know, and the ruling class and the people who are being ruled by the ruling class, that is the politicians versus the citizens, they come together in a contract and they agree that we have to have rights and duties of each other. Everybody has some rights, everybody has some duties. So in the old time, in the times of the 17th, 18th century, or in many decades or centuries behind us, we used to say that it was believed that individuals were born anarchic in nature. The people are chaotic. They are generally happy or unhappy according to a particular version. And some philosophers that we are going to discuss today, like Thomas Hobbes, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, whom I discussed once when I was talking about the theories of education, and John Locke, they came up with the idea that for the politics to go on, or for the society to move on, people have to have a social contract. A contract is between two people, because according to them, people are generally in the state of nature. What is the state of nature? In political theory, in the social contract, the state of nature is the real or hypothetical condition of human beings before they form political associations. Before politics, people live in a state of nature. And for somebody like Thomas Hobbes, one of the British philosophers of the 17th, 18th century, the state of nature is characterized by war of every man against man. Every person is fighting the other person. Why? Because this is a state where there is a constant violent condition, and there is a lot of competition in which every person thinks my rights must be advocated for. Everybody wants to have the right for everything, and nobody take care of the interest of others. And this is what brings corruption in the society. So, according to Thomas Hobbes, the state of nature is characterized by these things. It's solitary, because you are acting alone. You fight, a survival for the fittest. Who arrives first, take the largest share. It's also the state that is governed by the poor. There is a lot of poverty in the state of nature. And it's also nasty because you can be kicked anytime as somebody is looking for his rights. And it's also brutish. It's like animal state. And then it's short because you can easily die. And this is what actually brings corruption. When people are in the state of nature, they don't think of each other. Each think of himself. Probably we may say we have come out of the state of nature, but you can see it in many states in Africa. There is a lot of corruption. And the gap between the rich and the poor is becoming huge and huge. This is because some people are still in the state of nature somehow. Some people are still amassing a lot of wealth at the expense of others. Some people use corruption in order to gain that which is for everybody else. So in the absence of a higher authority, which can come and adjudicate disputes, because disputes where there are two people, there are always disputes. Everyone fear. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of mistrust of each other. And in this kind of state of nature, there's no justice, and there's no commerce, and there's no culture, and there's no business, because it is more about stealing from each other. It is a very bad state. And that is why these philosophers, having analyzed the state of nature, they realized that we need to come into a state whereby there is a social contrast, whereby the rulers and the ruled each knows their rights and duties. And in this way, in this social contract, the government is given the authority to defend the citizens. And the citizens have the duties also to vote for the best government so that this government can advance their ideologies in the way. When there is no social contract, or where the social contract is not respected, the results are things that we have seen also in Africa, like genocide, where all of a sudden people turn against each other. Tribal wars, where this tribe fights another tribe. Terrorism, all these people are guided by the state of nature. They believe they have an ideology to protect, and they terrorize the others. So there is an idea of the terrorist and the terrorized. And even the terrorist, once is terrorizing the other, the terrorist is always thinking of one day to terrorize the terrorist. And the continuous thing goes on. And then the wars between different countries. And then the other thing that happens when people are in the state of nature is torture. You know, people are put into chambers and they torture. So let us look at the first philosopher, who is Thomas Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes. Although there are similar ideas of social contract that can be traced from the sophists. Sophists were the philosophers in the ancient times. They always used to love discussions. Discussions for its own nature, for its own. The ruling class and the ruled, there is a possibility that the society can live in some kind of peace. So these conclusions were then reduced to form the social contract, or kind of a form of a social contract, from which it was supposed that all the essential rights and duties of the citizens could logically be deduced. Now, this social contract is whereby nobody has supreme powers over the other. And when we see it in the countries in Africa, especially like Kenya, the people have the power to hire the political class. During the elections, the people have the power to hire who they want to be their leader. And the same people have the power to fire who they don't want. Normally in Kenya is 5 years. Every 5 years we hire new leadership. We give them the mandate on the social contract ideology, whereby you are not going to do what you want, you are going to do what we have agreed. Not also what we want, but what we have agreed in the social contract. And our contract is in the Constitution. And this power to hire and power to fire cannot be removed from the citizens. So the citizens have the supreme power to know who is going to rule them. You cannot force them in normal circumstances, I say. And the ruling class have a constitution to follow. But they know they can be fired by the citizen. Once you remove this power of the citizen to hire and fire, then there is going to be anarchy. What we see today, sometimes there is lying, and lying is a political tool for many years, according to Niccolo Machiavelli. We see where the social contract is not followed properly, there is a diversity between truth politics versus power politics. Many politicians don't feel it is their responsibility to say the truth, whereas many politicians feel that truth can be manipulated. There's what we call patterning, where you have the truth, but use the same truth misleadingly. So not everybody who is saying the truth who is actually truthful, because truth can also be spinned. And we know there are people we call in political philosophy the political spinners. They're able to spin the truth. You think they are speaking the truth, but somehow they have already spinned it. And you think they're advancing your agenda, but they're advancing their own agenda. When we come back, we shall analyze not Thomas Hobbes again, but John Locke and Rousseau, and see what they understood by the contract, the social contract theory, and maybe conclude by thinking around whether we adhere to these theories, especially in our situation here in Africa. Let us have a short break.
Capuchin TV, kitambulisho Katoliki.
Consolata Institute of Philosophy was founded in 1970. We have 50 years experience in teaching philosophical and religious studies, international and local languages. We take pride in our diverse students' body, which consists of lay people and those from 25 religious congregations from Africa and beyond. We have the only pure philosophy library in Kenya, with over 25,000 volumes and a well-equipped e-library accessible from our campus. Consolata Language Center, CLC, a department of CIP, has successfully trained students for the last 11 years since its conception by the Consolata missionaries. The center offers all international and local languages, which include English, French, Kiswahili, German, Italian, Spanish, Chinese, Portuguese, and Arabic. Moreover, we offer theological and Christian-oriented languages, which include Greek, Hebrew, and Latin, for those who have it as a requirement for their further studies in the respective areas of specialization. Other services offered at the center include interpretation, translation, editing, proofreading, and transcription. We offer well-elaborated certificate courses in interpretation, translation, and basic ICT training for those who may want to keep abreast with a rapidly digitalized world. For more details on admissions, applications, online chat and responses, visit our website on www.consolatainstituteofphilosophy.com and www.consolatalanguagecenter.co.ke. We provide hostels for gents and ladies, both religious and lay people. We offer services for conferences and seminars. Our multipurpose hall has a capacity of 800 seats. We also have an amphitheater whose capacity is 300 to 400 persons. Consolata Institute of Philosophy is located 500 meters into Seminary Road, off Magadi Road, on your way to Ongata Rongai from Nairobi. Our philosophy and religious studies intakes are every August, while that of the languages is continuous and flexible to respond to the client's needs and availability. The academic calendars are also available on our websites. For inquiries, compliments, feedback, and reservations, contact us on 020 4404 098 or 0719 328848 or 0725 726 054. At Consolata Institute of Philosophy, we offer the best of education at the demand of the contemporary world. Join us today for refined services.
Capuchin TV, kitambulisho Katoliki.
So, welcome back. We were discussing the social contract theory, where we had tried to discuss and to analyze the states of nature. And we say the state of nature is the state where people are living in a state where nobody respects the rights of the other. Each person is right. We are all right. And if there's something, there's nothing like a national cake where you are going to divide it among the people. The cake is there, is yours for the grab. And this brings wars and corruption. And this brings a lot of agitation. So, in this case, we have talked about Thomas Hobbes, who said the state of nature is usually brutish, solitary, poor, and nasty, because it's the survival for the fittest. If you don't get a chance, if you are not connected, if you don't come from a family that is connected to the power, then you are going to remain poor for the rest of your life. And that is why the social contract comes, so that the social contract can govern you, plus the rich and the poor can all have equal access to the properties that go to the resources that God has put at our disposal. So the theories of the social contract differed. They differed according to their purpose. Some were designed to justify the rich and the power of the sovereignty. So sometimes you can have a social contract, which is a constitution, for example, that really safeguard the rights of the rich people, while others were intended to safeguard the individual from oppression by sovereign who were all powerful. In Kenya, our constitution protects the rights of the poor, the rights of the lowly class. If it is used properly, you can realize that our social contract really was designed to make everybody equal. And when there is no band politics, then the judiciary is supposed to be set aside as the arbitrator between even the executive and the parliament, between the people, one person and another person, so that when these contract, when this constitution, when these rights are applied justly by a just judge, then even the poor can have justice. Remember last time when we were talking about the ethic principles, we talked about the principle of justice, where I explained that even justice delayed is justice somehow denied. So this is where sometimes in politics people play the games, that the case can go well for the poor, but the case take 20, 30 years. Again, that is something to be safeguarded. But according to Hobbes, in the book Leviathan, in one of the paragraphs, 1651, the state of nature, as I had said, is a very pathetic situation, because what people are doing, they are not able to have their rights safeguarded unless they come into agreement. The ruling class and the rulers must come into the rulers plus the ruled must come into agreement and say, this is the way we want to be governed. So, in the state of nature, there is always the state of war, for which this war cannot end until people come into a social contract. Because unless we agree how we are going to share the resources, unless we agree how we are going to live with each other, not stepping on each other's feet, then there is a lot of war. And the war comes until the time that people say we have to give some of our liberty to the sovereign, to the ruling class, to come and rule us. So I have no power to deal with the other person the way I want, because I know there is a police person, there is an executive, there is a judge who is coming somehow to make sure that I deal with the other person in the right way. And that is the idea of the social contract. And that is the idea whereby nobody has the absolute power of the other person. So John Locke, in the second of the two treatises of government, he wrote a treatise in 1690. And in this treatise, John Locke differed from Holmes because he described the states of nature as one which the rights of life and property were generally recognized under natural law. Now here he put the idea of the natural law. The natural law is the law that is inscribed in your heart. Is the law whereby you know this and that cannot be done under all circumstances. The natural law, when we talk of do not kill, you can't kill whatsoever. You are not supposed to terminate the life of the other person. So whether there is inconveniences of the situation arising from insecurity or anywhere, you are not supposed to terminate life. And we have also the religious law. That is the law that is inscribed in our hearts by the religion we follow. People from different walks of faith, when you look, most of these laws that are in the religious realm, they are supposed also to go together with the natural law. And there is no religion that advocates killing. There is no religion that advocates snatching the property of the poor for your own self. And therefore, John Locke was saying that in the social contract, if only people would come together and respect the natural law, they are able to live a good life. They are able to live a life where they are not in the state of nature. So he therefore argued that the obligation of the people is to obey civil government under the social contract condition. So the idea is that we the people agree to give some sovereign people the power in order to safeguard us. And these people that we give the power, we also give them the right in order to enact the laws that we ourselves have put. And therefore the government is not supposed to make the constitution for the people. It's supposed to make the constitution together with the people. So, according to John Locke, that philosopher of the 16th century, in this book, The Two Treatises of Government, he agreed that sovereigns or any government that violated these terms of the social contract could be overthrown. And therefore, if you asked whether John Locke allowed for the overthrow of the government, you can easily say, for John Locke, when the government does not follow the obligations, when the government does not fulfill what the people are asking the government to fulfill, then there is no other way. You have to overthrow them. You have to take them out. But in the social contract nowadays, overthrowing is not the best form of dealing with such government, because the government goes in 4 years, 5 years, 6 years or so. So therefore, the people, as I said in the beginning, have the power to hire and fire. So they can just say, we are going to fire this government because when I look at it, it is not really following our social contract. But what happens in the society today, that is the most pathetic thing, that sometimes the government uses deceptive means. As I was talking, the government and the politicians have learned the art of deception. So what they do sometimes, they deceive the people, they violate the rights of the people, but it's like a cake where they put some sweet on the top layer, and then the people think that the government is working for them, only to realize later that probably this government or this social contract is not working, and they are again themselves as government in the state of nature. The last person that we want to discuss, one of the philosophers that I mentioned last time, is Rousseau. In the social contract, he held that in the state of nature, humans are in a kind of unwarlike. They are not able to fight, but they are undeveloped in their reasoning powers and sense of morality and responsibility. So these people who are in the state of nature, what they are lacking is reasoning. Because you need reason. You need to reason out your laws. You need to reason out before you act. But when people are not educated, are not able to reason, therefore it means that these people are in a state of nature because they don't know the right and the wrong. And therefore for him, you remember when I was talking about his education theory, I said that for Rousseau, each child is born good. It is the society that make the child evil. And therefore he advocated for education. The education whereby you make this child learn the principles to live by. And if the child is taught the principles, is already ready to enter into the social contract. According to Rousseau, it's very bad to enter into social contract with the people who do not reason, with the people who are undeveloped. So when people agreed for mutual protection, what they do, they agree to surrender individual freedom and action, and then they establish the laws. And these laws are given to particular members of the government, and therefore there is laws and there is morals and there is obligation. It's like whereby we surrender some of our rights to somebody who control and adjudicate us when there is a problem. And therefore, in order to retain it, essentially the moral character of the people, government must have the consent of the governed. So the people governing have not forced themselves into power. The people governing have actually put themselves into the condition of enacting the laws, not because they forced themselves to the people. The people themselves chose them. The people themselves, either through voting or through other methods, the people said, you are the people we are giving the power to govern us. Now, in this case of situation, in this kind of political social contract theories, there is no possibility of having dictators, because the idea of a dictator is that this person knows what is good for the people. And therefore, he is doing the good for the people when he wants the people to have this good. In this case, in the social contract theory, the dictator cannot arise because it is the people who knows what they want. It's a contract between the ruled and the rulers. So the people actually know exactly what they want. And therefore, you don't dictate them, you actually do or act according to their wishes in their social contract. So there is no possibility of dictatorship. Populist leaders are the leaders who believe in themselves. Whatever they do is for their own good, and they know everything, and they want everybody to sing for them. They want everybody to follow them. They are populist leaders. Populist leaders cannot work in the social contract system, because the social contract system is an agreement between the people and the leadership. And then it's supposed to be rotational. Because the social contract have the rights and obligations of the citizens, you can enact them at your particular time, but you cannot stay there forever. So it's not a monarchy. You can do it in 4 years, 5 years, or 2 terms, and then you go home. Because in the social contract, the people themselves know their contract with you, and therefore they can always vote for another person. Even they know their rights. Even they are the one who made their own constitution. And I think now we understand more the political system and how the government can be formed on the social contract theory by looking at Thomas Hobbes, the philosopher, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau and John Locke. So we are not in the state of nature, we are in the social contract. We respect each and everyone's rights. Thank you very much. Until next time.
Capuchin TV, kitambulisho Katoliki.